All right, so you shared this NHTSA guide all about winter driving. And, it's kind of funny how one day we're cruising around with the windows down and then bam, it's like we're dodging icy patches on the road.
Yeah, it really does sneak up on you.
It does.
And I think a lot of people kind of learn those winter driving lessons the hard way.
Which is why we're doing this deep dive.
Yes,
Knowledge is power, right?
absolutely.
So what was the most surprising thing you found in this guide?
The stats on winter driving accidents kind of caught my eye.
Oh, really?
Almost 400 fatal crashes in 2021,
Wow.
just from snow and ice.
400.
Yeah.
That's a pretty stark reminder that we're not just dealing with a little inconvenience when those roads get a little slick.
Yeah, it completely changes how we need to think about driving.
Totally. So where do we even begin? I mean, beyond the obvious, like, hey, maybe slow down a little bit.
Yeah. The guide really emphasizes the importance of distance.
Okay.
And I'm not even talking about a little extra space between you and the car in front, but like thinking in terms of car lengths.
Okay, so let's unpack that. How many car lengths are we talking here?
So imagine a car length for every 10 miles per hour you're traveling.
Okay.
So 30 miles an hour,
Yeah.
that's 3 car lengths, 55 car lengths.
Right.
That space gives you time to react if, things get a little dicey.
That's a great visual. I will definitely be picturing those car lengths out on the road now. What else did this guide highlight about just staying safe in general when the roads get, a little frightful?
It reminds us to share the road,
Yeah.
especially with snowplow.
Oh, yeah.
Those unsung heroes of winter roads.
Right. They're out there braving the elements.
Absolutely. But I know, it can be tempting, when you're behind them
Mm-hmm.
and they're going slow to kind of zoom past. But you have to remember, they have very limited visibility
Yeah,
and often make unpredictable movements.
totally. So give them space, be patient, maybe even, a little wave of thanks as you go by.
Exactly. Now, speaking of unexpected situations, let's talk about what happens if you do find yourself stranded.
Right, because, even the most prepared drivers can hit a patch of black ice or find themselves in like a sudden whiteout blizzard.
Absolutely. And in those moments, the guide really stresses 2 things. Stay put and stay visible.
Okay, so resist that urge to wander off in search of help, even if you think you know the area.
It's much safer to stay with your vehicle.
Mm.
Make it as visible as possible. So those bright markers or flares?
Right.
Use those. And if you have something like a brightly colored cloth, tie it to your antenna or a door handle.
And then inside the car, keep that dome light on so that rescuers can spot you. Now, this next tip is one of those things we don't always think about, but it's so crucial. Carbon monoxide poisoning?
Oh, yeah.
It's a silent killer, especially in the winter.
Yeah, it's terrifying how quickly it can become a problem, especially if you're stuck in running your engine to stay warm.
Yeah,
The guide recommends making sure your exhaust pipe is clear of any snow.
that's such a good point because
Yeah.
you might not even be thinking about that when you're worried about, digging yourself out.
Absolutely. And if you do need to run your engine for heat, do it sparingly and crack a window for ventilation.
Yeah, safety over comfort in those situations.
100%. Now, once you know that you're safe and sound, let's talk about preparing your vehicle for those challenges of winter driving. It all starts with your tires.
Yeah, I mean, they're literally where the rubber meets the road, so
Exactly.
it makes sense. They're pretty important.
Yeah, and one of the most important things is checking that tire pressure regularly, especially as those temperatures start to drop.
I'll admit, I never really realized how much cold weather affects tire pressure.
Yeah.
It's easy to overlook.
It is. But when you think about it, I mean, the air inside your tires contracts when it's cold. So you might be driving around with significantly underinflated tires and not even know it.
And underinflated tires means less traction, which is like the
Right.
opposite of what we want.
The last thing you want on icy roads.
Exactly. So yeah, tire pressure gauge, break it out, make it your new best friend.
Yeah.
And where do we find that information? Because I'm guessing it's not like the number that's stamped on the tire itself.
You're right. That's the maximum pressure, not necessarily the ideal pressure. Check your owner's manual or that sticker you usually find on the inside of your driver's side door jamb.
Okay, got it. So we've got our tire pressure sorted. What about tread depth?
Another really important factor for really gripping those winter roads, the guide recommends at least 232 of an inch of tread depth.
Okay.
And a good rule of thumb is what we call the penny test.
The penny test. Okay, you got to explain this one because
It's so simple. You take a penny, Stick it upside down in your tire's tread groove, and if you can see the top of Lincoln's head, it's time for some new tires.
I love that. That is such a simple but effective way to check.
It is.
And, for folks who live in areas that see like really heavy snowfall, the guide recommends considering snow tires.
Yeah, those can be a game changer.
For sure.
They're specially designed with a different tread pattern, and the rubber compound stays more flexible in cold temperatures,
Right.
giving you superior grip on snow and ice.
Yeah, those are legit. Now, for those of us with little ones, the guy had some really eye-opening information about car seats in the winter.
Yeah. It's tempting to, bundle your kids up in those big, thick winter coats before you strap them in,
Oh, yeah.
but it can actually be dangerous.
Really?
Yeah.
I've been doing that for years.
It seems counterintuitive, but what happens is that bulky outerwear, it can compress in a crash,
Oh.
and it creates slack in the harness straps, so the seat's not as effective.
Oh, wow. Okay, so what's the solution there? Like, we just send our kids out into the cold, like
Yeah. No.
unprepared.
No. The key is layering.
Okay.
Dress them in thin, warm layers, secure them snugly in the car seat, and then you can tuck blankets around them. You can even put their coats over them once they're buckled in, just for that extra warmth.
That makes total sense. Keep them safe, but also keep them cozy. And while we're on the topic of keeping things running smoothly, let's talk about our car batteries.
Ah, yes, the unsung heroes, especially in winter.
Yeah.
Cold weather can really drain the battery power, making it harder to start your engine.
It really does. It's like that cold just sucks the life out of them.
It really does. The guide recommends getting your battery tested, before winter really hits, especially if it's more than a few years old. And it's also a good idea to check the battery cables and connections, make sure there's no corrosion or anything like that.
Yeah, preventative maintenance, always
Right.
a good thing. Now, I'm excited about this next section because we're talking about safety technology, and it really seems like our cars are just getting smarter by the minute.
They really are.
Yeah.
And the guide emphasizes how important it is to understand these safety features, especially the ones that really come in handy in those tougher winter driving conditions.
Yeah. Like anti-lock brakes, for instance. Now, I know they're supposed to help me stop more effectively when the roads are slick, but I'll be honest, I'm not totally sure I understand how they work.
So it's all about sensors. ABS pumps the brakes much faster than you ever could, and it does it over and over really rapidly.
Wow.
And that keeps your wheels from locking up, which allows you to steer and maintain control of the vehicle.
So no more like pumping the brakes when you hit a patch of ice.
Exactly. Steady pressure on the brake pedal and let the ABS do its job.
Okay, good to know. Now, before we move on from car prep, I want to settle a debate. I think this is something that has probably divided households across the nation. Floor mats, yay or nay?
Ah, the great floor mat debate,
It's real.
especially in the winter. They can be really useful for catching all that slush and melting snow, but the guide really stresses making sure they're secured properly.
Oh, yeah, because I've definitely had the experience of the floor mat, like sliding up underneath the pedals, and then
Yeah, it's not just inconvenient, it can be dangerous.
it's terrifying.
Yeah.
So, yeah, make sure that they are the right size for your car. Make sure they're secured using those clips or the hooks, whatever your vehicle has.
Exactly.
Safety first. Now, let's shift gears a little bit from preparing our vehicles themselves to some of those essential pre-trip rituals. I'm all about a good routine,
Yes.
especially when it comes to just staying safe out there on those winter roads.
Me too.
Yeah.
And this guide had some really good tips for those pre-trip checks.
Okay, like where do we even begin?
Well, for starters, let there be light. We might not always think about it when we're bundled up and ready to go, but visibility is absolutely paramount in the winter.
Oh, you're preaching to the choir there. Good lighting is like essential, especially, as those days get shorter and we're driving more in the dark.
Absolutely. So before you even start the engine, do a quick walk around your car
Okay.
and just make sure your headlights are working, brake lights, turn signals, hazard lights, the whole 9 yards.
And don't forget those high beams, especially if you're driving on those like dark rural roads.
Yes, good catch.
Mhm.
And while you're at it, give your windshield wipers a quick test run too.
Right.
Make sure they're clearing the windshield effectively and that you've got plenty of winter-grade washer fluid.
Yeah, because there's nothing worse than being caught in a snowstorm and you've got like those worn out wipers that are just smearing stuff
Oh,
across.
it's the worst.
And you've got like an inch of washer fluid left. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a recipe for disaster. Now, another pre-trip check that people often overlook is your vehicle's cooling system.
Really? I thought that was like a summer thing.
Nope, your engine needs to maintain a consistent temperature year-round. And actually, cold weather can put more strain on your cooling system.
Oh, interesting. So what should we be checking there?
Well, before that first frost hits, it's a good idea to, maybe take it to your mechanic, have them check for any leaks,
Okay.
make sure the coolant level is correct, that the mixture is right.
Hmm.
Um, a little preventative maintenance now can really save you some major headaches down the road.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, this is the part where like I really geek out on winter driving preparedness. What does the guide say about stocking our vehicles for emergencies?
It's like packing for a winter adventure, but like car edition.
Yeah.
So beyond the basics, right? You got your ice scraper, snow brush, shovel. The guide had some like really clever suggestions.
Okay, hit me with your favorites.
Kitty litter.
Okay.
I know, sounds weird.
Yeah.
But a bag of that in your trunk can be a lifesaver if you get stuck in snow or ice.
Really?
Yeah, just sprinkle some around your tires for extra traction.
That's brilliant. I would never have thought of that.
It's all about thinking outside the box.
Hmm.
Jumper cables are another big one, especially in the cold. Batteries more likely to die.
Oh, for sure. And like a flashlight? Make sure you got fresh batteries in there.
Absolutely. And don't forget those warm blankets, maybe an extra hat, gloves. It's always better to be over-prepared than under-prepared, especially if you find yourself, stuck for a while.
Yeah, for sure. And while we're on that topic of like potentially being stranded, the guide also stresses the importance of, making sure you've got a full tank of gas,
Yeah.
or if you're, driving an EV, fully charged battery before you head out.
Such a simple thing, but it makes all the difference in those situations. And finally, never underestimate the power of planning your route and checking the weather forecast.
Yeah, those might seem like no-brainers,
You'd be surprised.
but we all know someone who like throws caution to the wind, doesn't even look outside and just heads out on the road.
Exactly. But in the winter, those few minutes you spend, just checking the road conditions, seeing if there are any potential storms coming, it really can make all the difference.
And you know what? If the weather's looking truly treacherous, sometimes the safest and honestly the smartest decision is to just postpone those non-essential trips.
100% agree.
Yeah. Well, there you have it. We've covered a lot of ground today, unpacking all kinds of great advice and tips from this NHTSA winter driving guide.
Yeah.
We talked about like the importance of tire pressure.
Yeah, who knew kitty litter could be so helpful?
Right. Kitty litter. That's the takeaway. But really, a little preparation goes a long way in just ensuring everyone has a safe and, hopefully enjoyable winter driving experience.
Oh.
So before that first snowflake falls, take some time to get yourself and your vehicle ready for whatever Mother Nature throws your way. You'll thank yourself later. Now, since you're already in the winter driving mindset, here's a final thought for you. Now that you've got all the practical stuff down, how are you going to make those winter drives more fun? Maybe it's curating, like the ultimate winter playlist. Maybe you queue up a bunch of really fascinating podcasts.
Oh, yeah.
Or even play like a scenic detour, embrace the winter wonderland. Who says winter driving has to be all about stress and worry? Until next time, drive safe, drive smart, and most importantly, drive happy.